WWE is said to have some of the best wrestlers in the world, and they honestly do. But what sometimes gets lost in the hustle and bustle of wrestling is that they honestly do a lot to not just keep their bodies in shape, but to go and make it so that they can redefine their bodies if they need to. Allow us to show you 10 dramatic WWE transformations in the last year alone. Edge. Anyone who has watched WWE for a decade or so knows the story of Edge and what happened to him. Edge was one of the most important wrestlers in the 20s and 2010s. He helped bring back tag team wrestling to the forefront with partners like Christian, Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, and more. Then he had a huge push in his singles career that led him to hold the main title belts a combined 13 times. But then, sadly, his career was ended when he suffered a major injury to his neck and back. In short, the wrong kind of impact could have paralyzed him, and thus he had to retire. But then, at the Royal Rumble in 2020, he shocked the world when he not only came back to a standing ovation, but he looked really good. It looked like he hadn't missed a beat and he was spearing people left and right. How long this phase of his career will last, we don't know. But seeing him back in the ring after what happened, that's a transformation we can't help but approve. Enzo Amore. From one of the most beloved wrestlers in the world to one of the most hated wrestlers in the world. What sometimes gets lost in the realm of wrestling is that sometimes a persona in the ring is just the person's personality dialed up a bit. When Enzo Amore came to NXT, he wasn't supposed to last, but he did thanks to his epic mic skills. He became a big player in the tag team division with his partner Big Cass, and then he became a singles wrestler in the Cruiserweight division before being let go under questionable circumstances. Let's just leave it at that. Since then, Enzo has done whatever he wanted. Enzo really believes he's a certified G and a bona fide stud, and he's going to attack anyone who has the guts to question it. When New Japan Pro Wrestling star Tama Tonga did that, Enzo replied by getting jacked. Seriously, he's buffed now, and it's scary. Now, if he could just fine-tune his attitude, maybe he'll get back into wrestling. But I doubt that transformation will come easily. I'm just saying, how you doing? Eva Marie. Women's wrestling in the WWE has gone through a great and mighty and appreciated transformation over the last 7 years. If you look at their brand of wrestling in WWE in the late 90s and the 2000s decade, you'll see more models than wrestlers. And the ones that were wrestlers weren't always given the appreciation that was due. Then, when NXT came around, the real women's wrestling returned, like Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Paige, AJ Lee, and more. But every once in a while, there was one who fit the old mold. And a great example of that was Eva Marie. Eva was a model trying to be a wrestler, and failing badly. Her heat was so huge that at one NXT event, she was given a title shot, and the crowd chanted, "If Eva wins, we riot," because they were not fooled. Don't get us wrong, she did try to be a wrestler, but she just couldn't. Now though, she honestly does have a wrestler's body because she's trying to be a fitness model, which is both ironic and inspiring. Clearly she loves what she's doing, and that's what matters. The Big Show. Regardless of whether he was the Giant, the Big Show, or the world's largest athlete, this wrestler has always towered above the rest. His height and girth made him not just a big name, but a big player in many storylines for decades. Big Show has always been impressive athletically, but recently he's been on a mission to not just look good, but feel good. Some comments from other wrestlers really inspired him to go and get into the best shape of his life, and that's exactly what he did. He went and worked out royally, and now this 7'2" giant has abs! Seriously, look it up. It's honestly quite terrifying, and makes us feel bad about our own guts. I'm just saying. Hopefully, this becomes routine for the Big Show, especially now that he has his own Netflix series, The Big Show. Because of course it's called that. The Undertaker. Gonna make a list of the best performers in the wrestling world in all of history. The Undertaker is at the top, or at the very least, near it. For decades, the Phenom has been running the table, collecting titles, having big moments, and more. But in recent years, fans have noticed that his age is really getting to him. Looking at some of the more recent WrestleMania performances, it's not exactly top-tier matches from the dead man. But, refusing to go out as a frail old vet, he put in the work and got into the healthiest shape he's ever been in. which helped him big time during his recent Boneyard match with AJ Styles, where he went and donned his big evil persona one more time for a good old fight that wowed the fans that watched it. And as Metallica's song said that he wrote out to, "We can live forever." Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is a very curious and interesting case in terms of his WWE career, and I do mean that in the best way possible. He was brought into WWE in the 2000s and was dubbed the Chosen One by WWE. He had certain title runs and opportunities, but over time, it just didn't help him get over. And eventually, after being a jobber for a long time, he was let go. But did he let that get to him? No. He went to the Indies, built himself, and eventually WWE brought him back, and he hasn't looked back since. And part of the reason is that Drew is freaking stacked. His arms, his legs, his core, it's all incredibly well toned. Some even say that he might be the most physically imposing person in the WWE today. And that's saying something given all the people who are in WWE right now. Rusev. Yes, I know, Rusev is not a part of WWE anymore, as he was released by the company via a massive set of layoffs this past April. However, it's important to note him because he honestly had quite the transformation over the last year. If you recall what he was like during his initial push in NXT and WWE, he was powerful but stocky. Then, in late 2019 and early 2020, via the much reviled Bobby Lashley storyline, he really slimmed down to become much more intimidating and refined in his technique. And now, since he won't have the WWE putting him in bad storylines anymore, you heard me, he'll get even more in shape for when he gets signed to another company. Andrade. Okay, this one's a little bit tough to talk about, mainly because Andrade was recently busted for a substance violation, which WWE now takes very seriously. However, if we're looking at Andrade as a whole, there's no doubt that he's gotten into much better shape in the best way possible. And there's a secret to his success: his girlfriend, Charlotte Flair. As noted earlier, Charlotte Flair is one of the big names of the women's division in WWE, and she's a physical freak herself. These two are engaged, so it makes sense that he and Flair will work out together and keep each other in shape. They've even done videos showing them working out together. It's honestly kind of cool. Andrade recently had a big push as the United States champion, and his physique is no doubt a big part of that. Jake Hager. What's that? You don't remember Jake Hager? That's because he went by Jack Swagger back in WWE. But after being let go by the company, he went to MMA via Bellator, and then signed by All Elite Wrestling. And the dude is jacked. Seriously, he is insane when it comes to his workout and skills. His physique is no joke, and he is still undefeated in MMA at the time of this video. And his wrestling record isn't too bad either. Ronda Rousey. Wait a minute, you scream. Ronda hasn't been in WWE since 2019. And you're right, but she still signed with them until 2021, and thus her transformation matters. Mainly because despite not being in a wrestling ring and not being in the UFC octagon, she somehow has gotten bigger in her muscle mass, specifically her legs. They're the size of cannons! Just saying. Thanks for watching. What did you think of this list of WWE stars, both past and present, who have had severe body transformations? Which ones do you think are the most impressive? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.